Hey guys, name Madsen here with a quick vlog. This one's going to be about a touchy subject for some of you guys, music theory. I'm not going to dive into the whole music theory, you should know it or you don't need to know it, that type of thing, because there's a whole bunch of people talking about that and you can find all kinds of debates on that. So go somewhere else for that. What I am going to talk about is just some approaches to music theory and also to try and dispel the mystical nature of music theory. I think some people who don't know music theory, they go, oh, this is way too complex and I couldn't learn it and I'm just here to play music. Really, at its core, all music theory is, in my opinion, is the labeling, the title, the organizing different ways that music is put together, different approaches in music, different musical techniques. It's this versus this. It's this versus this. That's all it is. And so you don't have to come at it like, oh, I need to go get a bachelor's degree in music to be able to understand music theory. You don't. Let me show you what I mean. You could take your favorite song. You could take, let's say you're a Beatles fan and you like the way a certain song sounds. You don't have to dive into, I wonder if they're using a submediant. You don't have to go that route at all if you don't want to. It's not going to hurt you if you do, but it's not going to hurt you if you don't. Because really, what music theory is going to allow you to do is to understand the sound of things. And when you hear something, or when you're trying to reach into your pocket of tricks for your next piece that you're working through, and you're like, I'm not sure where I want to go. I think I'm hearing this, and you have this chord that you're hearing in your mind. You're not going to have to hunt around on the piano and try and find it. Instead, you can be like, it sounds like this. And even if you don't know the label, if you know the sound, that's going to get you ahead of the game. And it's going to save you time. Sorry, my nose itches. It's going to save you time. Instead of having to hunt around for that sound on the keyboard or on the piano roll, you can be like, you know what? If I made this right here, that'd be really cool. Here's one thing you can do. First off, you can just take songs, take artists that you like, and you can just hear it and try and learn it by ear on your instrument. If you don't know how to do that, if you're not very good at transcribing things, then you can pick up things like this. This is just the Beatles complete chord book. All it is just the chords. Now, if you don't know how to read these, go and learn. This is something not so bad. So, for example, EM is E minor, and so you would play an E minor chord. And then next is G, so you play a G major chord. And you can be like, I like that sound when I go from an E minor chord to a G chord. I like that. And then maybe later on, you're writing your own piece, and you're like, hey, that sound I like from the E minor to the G, well, I'm not in the same key, but let me figure out how I can put that in this song. And you go off and you go, hey, I like that. That type of deal. That's the power of music theory. I have 2 degrees in music. I study music theory a ton. If you want to learn music theory, my advice would be this. First off, consider a private instructor, someone like me, someone like anyone you can find, a local music major at the school that you're nearby, or online, Skype. There's a whole bunch of people that are teaching music theory. So you can learn music theory with an instructor. You can also just go and buy a freshman and a sophomore level theory book. Now, in my opinion, buying one that has a workbook with the textbook is invaluable, because you're going to read the chapter and then you're going to apply it. Read the next chapter, apply that. You're going to retain a lot more information, in my opinion, than you would if you're just reading a chapter about music theory. I think this is invaluable, doing stuff like this. I got started in high school. I picked up a fake book and for piano, because I played in jazz band and I recognized a lot of the tunes, and so I picked up a fake book and started playing, and that's how I learned how to do certain things. I can go through and I can feel, I hope this is in frame, I could feel that voice leading. Instead of doing this, I figured out, then this, instead of this. And I started learning very organically how to voice lead on the piano. And it was through me just practicing and playing jazz standards on the piano. I wasn't trying to learn music theory. I was just enjoying it. So in my opinion, it's not going to help you to put music theory on a pedestal. If you want to pursue it via either the academic route or just by listening and learning the sound of it, it's going to help you so much when you're composing. And when you get stuck, you're going to have more tricks in your bag to pull out to say, I can get unstuck by doing this or this or this or that. I don't like it when people say, oh, I don't know music theory and I can't learn it. You know, and because to me, that's the easiest thing. You learned how to read, most of you. You learned how to write. You learned what your letters are. You learned what your numbers are. That's all music theory is. You know, and then if you're not sure how to do chord progression, to me, just learn that there's 7 steps in the major scale and the diatonic. We're not talking chromatic. In the normal major scale, there's 7 steps. And then you start putting the chords off of that. And then you can be like, oh, if I go from my 2nd chord to my 5 chord and back down to my 1 chord, that sounds nice. That type of thing. And you can start to experiment with that. If I take the 2nd chord and I play it down a half step, and then I play my 5 chord and then my 1. You can just start to play around with things. I often tell people music is just different pieces of Legos that you're putting together and seeing how they can fit. You're taking things out, you're putting things in to see what kind of combination you can come up with. I hope that's helpful. I hope that's encouraging. If you have questions about music theory and how to approach it, and by the way, I didn't even mention, aside from a private instructor and aside from the textbooks that you can do, there's all kinds of online courses that can teach you music theory. So you can just go out and just learn as much or as little as you want about music theory, as long as it's something that is helping you. And what I mean by that is, it's okay to feel uncomfortable. It's okay to feel like you're out of your element a little bit. That's actually really good. That's making you grow. But you don't want to feel like, I'm just gonna stay safe and keep my own little world here and ignore these other things. So stretch yourself a little bit. If you don't know music theory, try and learn a little bit of it and then apply it. And it can be small things at first, but I find it to be very, very helpful. I'm not snooty. I try not to be snooty about it. I hope I'm not snooty about music theory. I definitely know plenty of amazing composers who don't know any music theory. They just have a really good ear. But I also know that a lot of those composers I know, they kind of beat themselves up, or they feel like, well, I'm not as good as XYZ because I don't know music theory. You don't need to beat yourself up, but you also don't need to avoid learning it, if that makes sense. So I would go out, get some albums that you like, if they still make albums. I would go out and get some CDs, get some recordings of things that you appreciate, sounds that you appreciate, and then see if you can apply that, if you can dissect, well, how is this sound being constructed? What makes it cool? And then from there, see how you can learn how that's constructed and apply it to your own work. All right, if you like these videos, please hit like, subscribe, comment. I'm here to help you guys out. Hope you're having a great Saturday. Take care.